You settle into your favorite chair with a small bowl of nuts, feeling good about your choice. After all, they're healthy, right? But after 60, that healthy snack can quietly raise your blood pressure, slow your thyroid, even speed up brain aging. Dr. William Lee's latest research reveals 4 nuts that heal and 4 that harm, in ways most seniors never see coming. You might not notice it at first. The same handful of nuts you've eaten for years now leaves you a little more bloated, your energy dipping sooner, your blood pressure creeping up. That's because after 60, your arteries get stiffer, your metabolism slows, and your kidneys filter more slowly, changing the way your body handles fats, sodium, and even healthy oils. In my 25 years of working with seniors, I've seen lives change simply by swapping one nut for another. Today, I'll walk you through the 4 superfood nuts that protect your brain, heart, and metabolism, and the 4 risky ones that quietly work against you. 1. Walnuts, anti-inflammatory brain fuel. Frank was 71 when he started noticing small gaps in his memory, not forgetting his granddaughter's name, but walking into the kitchen and having no idea what he came for. Then one morning, he added a small handful of walnuts to his breakfast. And 3 weeks later, Frank told me, "It's like someone swept the cobwebs out of my head." There's a very real reason for that. Walnuts are rich in alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA, a plant-based omega-3. Inside your body, ALA turns into EPA, a fatty acid that works like a quiet repair crew in your brain, patching tiny spots of inflammation and protecting your nerve cells. Here's the surprising part. After 60, if you're well nourished, your body can actually convert twice as much ALA into EPA compared to when you were younger, giving your brain even more of that precious repair material. A major study followed more than 600 older adults for 2 years. Those who ate about 14 walnut halves a day not only improved memory scores, they increased levels of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, by 12%. Think of BDNF like the best fertilizer for your brain's garden, helping new connections grow and old ones stay strong. The easiest way to start? Measure out a small handful, add them to your oatmeal, sprinkle over a salad, or enjoy with your morning tea or coffee. You don't have to overhaul your entire diet. Just keep it consistent day after day. Frank still takes his morning walks, still does his crossword puzzles. The difference is, his brain now gets the fuel it needs every single day. And if walnuts can do that for memory, the next nut I'll show you can lower blood pressure more gently than any pill. 2. Almonds, nature's blood pressure pill. Beatrice, 69, had always enjoyed salty crackers mid-morning. It was her little treat between breakfast and lunch. But at her last checkup, her blood pressure had crept up again. Rather than increase her medication, we made one simple swap. Crackers out, almonds in. 3 weeks later, her numbers were back in the healthy range. Here's why almonds make such a difference. They're packed with magnesium, a mineral that works like a soft key inside your arteries, unlocking stiff vessel walls so blood can flow more easily. Magnesium acts as a natural calcium channel blocker, the same way some blood pressure medications work, but without the side effects. A meta-analysis of 21 clinical trials found that eating just 1 ounce of almonds a day lowered diastolic blood pressure by about 1.3 millimeters of mercury. That may sound small, but even that drop is linked to a 15% lower risk of stroke in older adults. The trick is to keep it simple and steady. Count out about 23 almonds. That's 1 ounce. And eat them mid-morning, when you might otherwise reach for something salty or processed. You can have them plain, lightly roasted, or paired with a few slices of apple for extra fiber. Beatrice didn't start running marathons or cutting out all her favorite foods. She just gave her arteries a daily reason to relax. Now, lowering blood pressure is just one part of the puzzle. there's another nut that doesn't just relax blood vessels. It actually helps them open wider on demand, giving your heart the oxygen it craves. 3. Pistachios, your heart's oxygen pump. George, 73, loved his morning walks, but lately he found himself stopping halfway up the hill to catch his breath. He hadn't changed his routine. So, why did his stamina feel so low? We added just one small handful of pistachios to his day. Within a month, he was back to walking the whole route without stopping. Here's the secret. Pistachios are rich in arginine, an amino acid your body turns into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is like a gentle wind opening up a tunnel, in this case, your blood vessels, so more oxygen-rich blood can reach your heart and muscles. And pistachios also deliver a solid dose of potassium, which helps balance sodium levels, a key for seniors whose kidneys aren't as efficient as they used to be. A study from the American Heart Association in 2022 found that older adults who ate pistachios daily improved their endothelial function. That's the ability of blood vessels to widen when needed. Better vessel flexibility means less strain on the heart during activity. Here's how to get it right. Measure out about 1 ounce, a small handful, and have it before dinner or right after a walk to help your vessels recover. Stick to unsalted or lightly salted varieties so you don't undo the benefit with excess sodium. George didn't suddenly double his workout or take new supplements. He just gave his heart the natural tools to open its own oxygen pump when it needed to. And while pistachios can keep blood flowing smoothly, the next nut we'll cover has an even more surprising effect. It can fire up your metabolism with just a single bite. 4. Brazil nuts, metabolism's spark plug. Lucinda, 67, came to me saying she just didn't have her old energy anymore. She wasn't sick, but her mornings felt sluggish, and she'd often need a nap by early afternoon. We didn't start with caffeine. We started with one single Brazil nut. Why? Brazil nuts are the richest natural source of selenium, a trace mineral most people over 60 don't get enough of. Selenium is essential for an enzyme in your thyroid called deiodinase, which converts inactive T4 hormone into active T3. Think of T3 as the spark plug in your body's engine. It's what actually gets your metabolism firing. A clinical study published in Aula Medica in 2018 showed that just one Brazil nut contains about 160% of your daily selenium needs. In the study, seniors who ate a single nut a few times a week improved not only thyroid hormone levels, but also reported higher energy and better mood. The key here is less is more. Selenium is powerful, and too much can be harmful. That's why I tell patients, eat one Brazil nut in the morning 2 or 3 times a week, and that's it. Have it whole or chop it into yogurt or oatmeal for a richer texture. Lucinda kept everything else the same breakfast, same walks. But with that small change, she no longer needed an afternoon nap. Her spark plug was firing again. But here's the catch. Even one handful of the wrong nut can undo all that progress, especially when it comes to blood pressure. And the first troublemaker we need to talk about, it's one of the most popular snack nuts in America. 5. Salted cashews, the blood pressure trap. Tom, 72, loved salted cashews. They were his go-to when watching baseball, and he figured they were a healthier choice than chips. But during his last checkup, his doctor increased his blood pressure medication, and Tom couldn't figure out why. Here's the problem. Salted cashews may look harmless, but the sodium they carry can be a silent trigger for high blood pressure, especially after 60. As we age, our kidneys become less efficient at removing excess sodium. That extra salt activates something called the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, or RAAS for short. Think of RAAS like a switch that tightens your blood vessels. Once flipped, it makes your heart work harder, even when you're resting. A study from UC Davis in 2019 found that sodium sensitivity significantly increases in older adults, meaning that the same salty snack that barely affected you at 40 can now raise your blood pressure much more. Here's what I recommend. If you enjoy cashews, choose unsalted or lightly salted varieties, ideally dry roasted or raw. Portion out a small handful instead of eating from the bag, and pair them with fresh fruit to help balance the sodium you do consume. When Tom switched to raw cashews and cut back his portions, his blood pressure stabilized within weeks without needing another medication increase. And here's where it gets tricky. Sodium isn't the only problem with nuts. Even without salt, some are so calorie-dense that they can quietly build up visceral fat, the kind that wraps around your organs and slows your metabolism. And the biggest offender? It's one with a rich, buttery flavor that's dangerously easy to overeat. 6. Macadamias, the silent fat trap. Rosa, 65, didn't understand why she was slowly gaining weight. Her meals were balanced, she stayed active, and she wasn't eating desserts. Then we looked at her snacks, and there it was, a large jar of macadamias on the kitchen counter. Macadamias are delicious, rich, and packed with healthy fats. But here's the catch. They're also one of the highest calorie nuts you can eat, about 204 calories per ounce. When your metabolism naturally slows after 60, that harmless handful can tip your daily calorie balance without you even noticing. Over time, those extra calories tend to settle as visceral fat, the kind that wraps around your organs and interferes with everything from insulin sensitivity to heart health. Think of visceral fat like an unwanted insulation layer inside your body, trapping heat and slowing the engine. Even a small surplus each day, 100 calories, can add up to 10 extra pounds a year if you don't burn it off. And with macadamias, that's barely half a handful. If you enjoy them, here's the safer approach. Limit yourself to 3 or 4 nuts at a time, a few times a week. Treat them like a gourmet indulgence, not a daily staple. And try pairing them with a high-fiber fruit like berries to help your body process the fats more efficiently. When Rosa swapped her daily macadamias for walnuts and pistachios, the slow weight creep stopped, and she felt lighter during her morning walks. But fat and salt aren't the only hazards hiding in nuts. Some can actually change the way food tastes, making you lose your appetite for everything else you eat. And for certain seniors, that's a dangerous road to walk. 7. Pine nuts, the appetite killer. Ellen, 70, loved making homemade pesto for her pasta nights. But a few days after one batch, she noticed something strange. Everything, even her morning coffee, had a bitter, metallic taste. Her appetite dropped and she started skipping meals. The culprit, pine nuts. For a small percentage of people, especially seniors, certain pine nuts can trigger something called pine mouth. It's linked to the TAS2 R38 taste receptor gene, which can cause a metallic or bitter flavor in the mouth that lasts days, sometimes weeks. A 2018 study in the Journal of Food Protection found that 1 to 3% of people experience this reaction, with older adults more likely to have lingering symptoms. And here's the problem. If food tastes bad for long enough, you can unintentionally slide into undernutrition, which can weaken muscles, lower immunity, and slow recovery from illness. If you enjoy pine nuts, here's a smart approach. Try just 5 or 6 nuts the first time and wait 48 hours. If no taste changes occur, you're likely in the clear. And when buying, look for European varieties over certain Asian imports, which are more often linked to pine mouth episodes. Ellen switched to pumpkin seeds in her pesto and never had another problem. Plus, she got an extra boost of zinc for her immune system. But taste changes aren't the only hidden threat. Some nuts carry flavorings and coatings that seem harmless. Yet, inside your body, they flip a switch for chronic inflammation, the kind that accelerates aging. 8. Flavored nuts. Inflammation's Trojan horse. Martin, 74, had a habit of keeping a bowl of honey-roasted nuts by his recliner. They were his better choice when he wanted something sweet while watching TV. But over time, he noticed his knees ached more, and his morning stiffness lasted longer. The reason? Those sweet coatings aren't just sugar. Most flavored nuts are processed with refined oils, preservatives, and artificial seasonings that activate the body's NF-kappa B pathway, the master switch for inflammation. When NF-kappa B stays on, it fuels what researchers call inflammaging, low-grade chronic inflammation that accelerates arthritis, heart disease, and even cognitive decline. A 2021 paper in the Journal of Gerontology linked regular consumption of processed snack foods, including flavored nuts, to significantly higher markers of inflammation in adults over 65. Here's the simple fix. Choose raw or dry roasted nuts without coatings or artificial flavors. If you like a little sweetness or spice, make your own at home using cinnamon, paprika, or a light drizzle of pure honey, then bake them at low heat. That way, you control the ingredients and avoid the inflammation switch. When Martin switched to plain roasted almonds and pistachios, his morning stiffness eased within weeks. He didn't change his walking routine or add supplements. He just stopped inviting that Trojan horse of inflammation into his home. And now you've seen it, the 4 healing nuts that can boost memory, circulation, and metabolism, and the 4 risky ones that quietly work against you. But before you decide which changes to make, let's bring it all together in one simple reflection. The right nut can sharpen your memory, keep your arteries relaxed, and give your metabolism a gentle push forward. The wrong one can quietly undo that progress, raising your blood pressure, adding hidden weight, or feeding inflammation you may not feel until it's too late. Think back to Frank, Beatrice, George, Lucinda. They didn't overhaul their lives overnight. They simply made one small, consistent swap, and their bodies thanked them in ways they could feel every single day. So, here's my question for you. Which feels easier right now? Adding one healing nut to your daily routine, or cutting back on one risky one? There's no wrong answer. Every small step is a win. If today's guide helped you think differently about food, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more simple, science-backed ways to keep your body strong after 60, tap the subscribe button and join me here each week. Because thriving at this age isn't about perfection. It's about giving your body the little things it needs every day to keep you living the life you love.